Today we're going to visit the University of Hawaii at Hilo Pacific Aquaculture and Coastal Resources Center, also called PACRAC for short. PACRAC is an aquaculture facility located in Hilo that focuses on the cultivation of oysters, ornamental fish, and other marine organisms. It's also the location of the UH Hilo MOP Coral Nursery, which is the focus of today's video. MOP is an acronym for the Marine Option Program, which is a certificate program where undergraduates can get involved with a variety of marine-focused activities and research projects. The Coral Nursery is managed by the students and faculty of this program.
So back at the end of 2015 and into early 2016, Hawaii experienced one of its first major coral bleaching events. And a lot of us were pretty shocked actually at the amount of coral that we lost that winter. We were worried that Hawaii wasn't prepared to do any coral reef restoration. We talked a lot about how Hawaii Island in particular didn't have any captive coral populations growing. There wasn't really anybody doing any coral nursery work and looking at how you might actually put corals back on the reef to replace things that were lost due to the coral bleaching. So, we really wanted to do something, and it took a long time for us to kind of come up with a plan that we felt like we could implement. We needed to find a lot of people who could do, who knew how to grow corals, people who could spend the time actually taking care of them. We needed to find tanks. We needed to find a facility that could host us and give us space. We needed to apply for a permit from the state to actually collect and to keep corals in captivity. And all of these things took almost 2 years to get going on this project. And so it was in the fall of 2018 when we were able to get our first corals in this tank that you see here.
The Coral Nursery initially began as a MOP project by Michelle a few years ago. I decided to ask about her experience starting the nursery.
Well, it actually started out as I wanted to do that as my senior project. But then everything kind of went a different direction, and everybody kept telling me, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this, until I finally got a yes. So it ended up being my MOP project because I did an internship for senior.
How did you learn to grow corals?
My husband used to be very into saltwater aquariums. And one day he just said, hey, we own a business. We ended up opening up a saltwater fish and coral store in Tahoe. And I didn't know anything about it. So I just started looking online, looking up different reef sites, getting a hold of as many books as I possibly could. So for me, it was all about, I had a passion and I just got a hold of whatever I could to learn.
We're still in our beginning phases of this project. We are going to be expanding pretty soon into a new larger tank, which we'll show you a little bit later on. And hopefully with that move, we can facilitate more student volunteer opportunities, more student projects, and maybe even in the future, some coral reef restoration activities. In our current tank, we have 3 species of coral. We have quite a few Passalopora meandrina, a handful of Parietes lobata, and a pretty good amount of Montipora capitata. So right here is an example of one of our Passalopora meandrina colonies. This is one of our original colonies from way back when we started. Seems to be pretty happy. And these guys over here have all come from fragments of some of our original colonies. And these guys are interesting because they're growing with these very small branching patterns that is not typical of Passalopora meandrina. But they seem to be doing pretty well, so it might just be a product of the water flow or the food regimen that we're giving them. So this is one of our original colonies. He had a little bit of a problem with some anemones that killed off a lot of his tissue, but he's still hanging on the edge. A little dirty. We're going to do some cleanup in the near future. This is one of the small fragments that was taken off of the other Parietes lobata and has been growing on this little plug for a while. You can see here on the side where it's actually attached to the substrate and is starting to grow over the edge. Here is an example of Montipora capitata. These guys really got hit hard when we had our anemone problem, and so they, you know, it used to be a pretty big colony, and now we've just got a little bit of live tissue left. But he's stable now. He'll do all right, especially when we move into our new tank. Here's one of our cleanup crew. This is a small hermit crab. I don't know what kind of snail shell this came from, but there he is coming out to say hello. These guys help keep our corals clean, pick off little parasites, algae, whatever. This is another member of our cleanup crew. This is a snakehead cowrie. So these guys are herbivores, and they crawl around the tank and eat the algae off of the glass and off of the areas around the corals. There's a variety of ways that students can be involved with the coral nursery. So there are daily maintenance tasks that usually only require about 20 to 30 minutes of work on any given day. And then there's other larger tasks that you have to do on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And so we have a crew of volunteers who comes down on their own a few times a week and does, you know, just clean out the filter, clean the protein skimmer, wipe down the glass, and feed the animals, and, you know, and check for anything that might be malfunctioning. But then every week or so, we have to do some more major scrubbing of our racks. Some of the probes and heaters and all that stuff needs to be cleaned a little bit better. Every month or so, we do a water change. We have to do some water quality tests once in a while. We have to change out hoses. But, you know, like I said, a lot of these tasks don't need to be done every day. Those tasks, what we do is we have a weekly shuttle that comes down to Pack Rack, and students can join in and help with some of those more long-term tasks that require a few extra hands. Another way to get involved is to come up with a MOP project that needs coral specimens or can use the specimens that are in the tank. So far, we've had 3 students who've used the tank for a project. 2 of them have actually done their project in the tank that we have, and one of them set up his own tank and took a few specimens from us and is currently tracking growth rates on different substrates that the corals have been attached to. Another example is once in a while we need to fragment a bunch of the corals to create more colonies, and that's a really great activity for students to come down just for one day. It's not like the dirty stuff of cleaning out the hoses and scraping algae. It's the more hands-on, the actual corals type of thing that a lot of students really want to do.
If you would like to learn more about the Coral Nursery and other MOP activities, please visit the UHH MOP website. There will be a link in the description of this video. I plan to make more videos about the Coral Nursery and other MOP activities, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.